Imagine creating an abstract sculpture from scrap metal with no clear plan, just pure experimentation. This is Palmetto Oaks, and in this video we'll see how Stephen Kishel creates a new sculpture. But this sculpture is different than his normal builds, and there are 3 reasons for that. The first one is that normally Stephen has a clear plan for what he will make, but this project is not like that at all. For this sculpture, Stephen has to step out of his comfort zone and let the sculpture come to life one experiment at a time. And we have no idea what it will look like until it's finished. The second reason this is a different build has to do with the materials. Normally, Stephen uses aluminum. It's light, cost efficient, and most importantly, it's malleable. Iron, on the other hand, is a different story. Iron and steel needs brute force and precision. And the third reason is that due to the nature of the material, Stephen has to make sure he doesn't create a death trap. Some of these pieces have sharp edges on them, which causes some liability questions.
You can't make something too safe, but you can sure make it dangerous.
The materials Stephen is using for this sculpture were part of a device Stephen made for a friend to be used for oyster roasts. Now it has served its purpose, and because of the interesting shapes, Stephen thought he could use the materials for something. But he didn't quite know what. And today is the day to try and make sense of these pieces and assemble them into a sculpture. Now Stephen is building the sculpture from the bottom up, so he builds it one piece at a time. The base of the sculpture he made by cutting up an old air tank, and now he has to attach the first part. After selecting the first component, he shapes it and smooths out any surfaces that might complicate the welding process. He also has to grind out any sharp edges so that people won't get hurt if they accidentally walk into the sculpture. Like mentioned previously, iron and steel is not as malleable as aluminum is. Aluminum can easily be rolled into any shape, while iron needs to be forged or cast in order to be shaped in any drastic way. But that doesn't stop him from trying to run some of the thinner plates through the roller. And now that he has a rough shape for the flat components, he has to figure out where to attach the first component to the base. Because of the weight of the material, Stephen has to be very careful with balancing the components straight away. And additionally, he will have to weld them in place immediately, because as the weight accumulates, the clamps won't be able to do the trick. So it's already time for welding. No way back now. The fact that Stephen has to weld so early in the process forces him to commit early on. But it also requires him to make absolutely sure the components will fit, and more importantly, that the sculpture will be balanced and stable. One of Stephen's main philosophies is that he wants everything he makes to be balanced without symmetry. This requires a lot of precision even on one of his normal aluminum sculptures, but it requires even more precision when dealing with such heavy materials. Stephen's sculptures are known for appearing almost weightless, and by attaching each component to each other, he manages to let the components support each other in a way that makes it look as if they're stringed together in a weightless manner, as if they're floating in water. But at the same time, they create a strong structure that can carry all the weight. These heavier curved pieces of iron were used as handles on the oyster roasting device Stephen made, and for this sculpture they add a lot of character and texture. But the real trick is to be creative about where to place them. We don't want the sculpture to be predictable and symmetrical. Since the handles are symmetrical in a sense, Stephen has to place them in a way that tricks the eye and makes it appear like they flow into each other. And it's a really fun challenge to make these rigid and hard iron shapes appear to flow as if they're weightless. Stephen is usually trying to create art that's inspired by nature in some way or another. The majority of his outdoor sculptures are inspired by the plant world. This sculpture will probably not look botanical, simply because of the shape of the materials. But the idea of emulating nature's way of creating unpredictable organic shapes still shapes Stephen's approach. And this sculpture is turning out to take a surprising shape. Can you see it already? If not, wait for the final reveal at the end of the video. Now, Stephen has reached a point where the sculpture reveals whether or not it can stand upright. And so far, so good. In addition, he also has a few circular components. And by bending one of the steel plates and attaching this circle on it, it almost appears as if the sculpture is holding something or wearing something. Or maybe it's a heart? Suddenly, it starts looking almost humanoid. At this point, we might as well commit to the humanoid form. Stephen has a piece of an old iron pipe that he has had laying around for a while, so why not crown the sculpture with an iron circle? And suddenly, we have an abstract humanoid sculpture. Elegant in its slender and balanced form, yet brutalistic in its rusty and stained steel and iron materials. Something that perfectly embodies the contrasts of life, nature, and relationships. Stephen decided to give this sculpture the name Iron Petroglyph. And the more you look at it, the more possibilities you will see in it. Is it a person with their heart on their sleeve? Is it a parent protecting its young? Is it a petrified plant? Well, that's the beauty of abstract art. For you, it embodies your inner thoughts. Thank you for joining us on this journey from a pile of scrap metal to a mysterious and timeless sculpture. We really hope you have enjoyed seeing this art piece come to life. Now, on the other hand, if you're interested in seeing Stephen's newest and fastest growing art series, you should definitely check out this video right here.